Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my MCU Phase update. And we got new information on the MCU's phases over the weekend from San Diego Comic-Con, because that's going on. And I kind of wanted to share my thoughts on the information that we had gathered here. So, we found out that the Phase 4 is going to conclude with She-Hulk's show and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I was like, okay, that's interesting that the end of Phase 4 is going to be like this. Like, it seems that Marvel's strategy has shifted from, granted, they were trying to do a kind of balance of quantity and quality, but now it's shifted out to more of just putting out quantity and just going kind of shotgun to see what kind of works and what doesn't. And I would think that even though I still have yet to see She-Hulk and Black Panther Wakanda Forever, that this phase is going to be the weakest of the MCU phases. Mainly because what I think is the worst MCU film of Black Widow's in here. I like Shang-Chi. That I think was definitely a decent one, and Doctor Strange 2 I think were pretty good ones. Eternals I liked, but it definitely had its problems. Spider-Man No Way Home just was not working for me either, and Thor went too comedic, and it's like, okay, so then you put in the shows, and there's only two shows that I'm like, okay, these were at least kind of decent, of Loki and Hawkeye. And other than that, I'm just like, wow. And that's me liking the MCU. And I don't do this to shit on anybody's stuff. If you like all these things and they're good for you, cool, that's good for you. Alright? But I think this is the weakest because we don't really have a kind of clear goal. Most of the time, it's pretty much trying to build up certain other kind of weird spots within each and every kind of movie instead of having a coordinated kind of, okay, here's the origin story, we're going to focus on this character, and then here's going to be a little bit of tease of what's kind of going on. Here just kind of goes all over the place, and sometimes connects enough like WandaVision and Doctor Strange, and sometimes it's just like, alright, like Loki's pivotal for setting up what we're going to be learning on for like Phase 5 and Phase 6. So I was just really disappointed to be like, okay, this is not a good kind of phase. So Phase 5, let's see here. That's not it. You son of a bitch. Echo Marvels. You bastards. You bastards. Alright. So this is going to be like the multiverse saga, which I'm okay with. However, you got to execute that kind of well enough. Let's see. There was a thing that showed me what was kind of going on, and it's just like making it so hard to kind of find. Alright, from what I'm seeing, we're pretty much going to have then Phase 5 starting in like 2023. So we've got like, starting off with like Ant-Man 3, Quantumania. We got a thing that showed that Cassie is going to be heavily in it, and she's going to be played by Claire from Supernatural. Catherine Newton? Holy shit, I did get it right. Yeah. So we'll kind of see, granted, she played an angsty teen in Supernatural. But then I kind of liked her better when she was in Detective Pikachu. So we'll kind of see how we go out. I didn't like that the kind of plot synopsis we got from it is that Scott Lang turns into a kind of shitty, fame-obsessed kind of dickhole because he wrote like a book about this stuff and was more obsessed with that and kind of lets his family fall to the wayside, which you got to do a lot of connective work on that one. But we did see Kang looking more like Kang the Conqueror from the comic books. Cassie's got her own suit, which is more kind of purple and more kind of similar to the Ant-Man stuff instead of like her stature stuff that we've seen in the Young Avengers. Let's see here. We got Guardians Volume 3. We got Secret Invasion going on. Echo. Ironheart, Blade, Loki Season 2. The Marvels. Daredevil's going to get his show during this as well. And because in the latest She-Hulk trailer, we see that Daredevil's involved. So it's like, ooh, okay, that's kind of cool. And definitely makes sense. Matt Murdock's a lawyer. She-Hulk's a lawyer. That newest trailer, I'm like, okay, this could be definitely interesting with how She-Hulk kind of works with all that. And she does do her fourth wall break. So we'll see kind of how that works out. I also like Black Panther Wakanda's Forever trailer. It did show that they're kind of dealing with something going on with T'Challa, and that Namor is going to be introduced in there. Potentially is, like, at first antagonistic and doing some kind of shitty shit. But then, hopefully, potentially, we'll see him introduced more as a hero. Though, granted, he's more of a kind of dickhole dude. Let's see. Phase 5 also has Ironheart, Blade. Ironheart looking to be a... let's see. There are certain things that denote that they're like shows. Because Secret Invasion, Echo, Ironheart, Daredevil, and we got Agatha, Coven of Chaos, Captain America, New World Order. That's going to be Sam's Cap movie. And finishing off Phase 5 will be the Thunderbolts. So we're still not getting an Avengers movie until Phase 6. Thunderbolts will be interesting, mainly because that's more of like villains dressed up as heroes doing shit, so we'll see how that kind of works out and what's going to be kind of going on with that. That's hopefully Phase 5 has more of a kind of concerted kind of effort of what's going on, since Kang is being kind of more centerpieced in this, since he's pretty much being more brought into the fold, into the movie stuff going on in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Hopefully that kind of tightens everything up, but I'm looking at all this and I'm like, okay, Echo and Daredevil will at least kind of link up. Secret Invasion, we're gonna have to... you gotta really work on the connective tissue on what's kind of going on, and it's just like, that's a lot. I mean, looking at other phases, adding in these shows kind of does like some crazy-ass shit. And then we shift over to Phase 6, showing us into 2024 and 2025, where Phase 6 only at this point starts with the Fantastic Four, which is important to do more stuff with, like the multiverse and Kang. And I'm like, okay, to be honest with you, if you were going to start a multiverse kind of thing, you should have started with Doctor Strange 2. You should have done that to open it up, then went into Fantastic Four, and then kind of started doing all kind of weird shit. I don't know why they're going it this way. I mean, granted, I do have enough faith in Marvel to rectify from mistakes when they kind of pop up, because with Phase 4, it should be kind of like when you're doing a kind of flow for a story. You have like a big kind of thing, and then you have to have like that falling action. Now that doesn't mean you can't have other kind of actions in there, but you should be going to kind of more personal kind of stories and kind of recentering and focusing and seeing what these characters are doing for their fallout, while also introducing new characters that'll be pivotal to what's going on. And it's interesting that we're not seeing any Sony things, like Sony Spider-Man stuff, at the moment. So we'll see how that works out, because Phase 6 is Fantastic Four, and that's it. Like, we've got 2023 pegged when you've got, Jesus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movies, and 6 movies, I'm sorry. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shows. And then with Phase 6, you've got Fantastic Four in 2024, November. And then May of 2025, you got Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, and then in November of 2025, you got Avengers: Secret Wars. Now, I think that this is kind of playing more onto the more recent Secret Wars rather than the beginning Secret Wars, because the multiverse played a more pivotal role in the newer 2015 Secret Wars kind of story, whereas the one in the 80s dealt with the Beyonder pulling in some people and be like, fight for my amusement, motherfuckers! Rather than, all of the multiverses are clashing together and we've got to make sure that we can survive. And then it's like, ah, shit, we got God Doom to deal with. This is not an ideal situation. This is not an ideal situation, man. We got some shit we got to deal with. Now, granted, I have not read that Secret Wars, but I might, like, look into a trade or whatnot. I do know of the whole kind of stuff Fallout-wise. Like, granted, I was still reading comics at that point, but I just didn't read the event going on. I know that it got us Miles Morales' Spider-Man in this universe because of what it did to the Ultimate Universe, and then kind of rebooting and everything, since I usually still stuck to, like, Thor, Cap, Iron Man, and those kind of comics as well. But yeah, that is just a really weird thing that, like, our Phase 4 is ending so suddenly to me. Now, granted, I understand that we've gone through a couple years and that it does make sense for it to end. It's just like, I really wouldn't tell you what the overall main objective with this other than to kind of explode the multiverse concept, and the only two ones that really get that done are Loki and Doctor Strange, and tangentially, like, No Way Home. But that was more of just like an exploration of, like, what happened with Loki's thing, and then just getting all the Spider-Men together and all the Spider-Man villains and went like, Spider-Splosion! Which I'm not adverse to if it's executed correctly, and it wasn't executed correctly for me. Other than that, it's just like, okay, everybody just went buck wild because it's like, we on top, we on top. That's why you need competition, okay? Hopefully, Marvel understands this and tries to retool and focus enough more at a certain point, because I would rather prefer quality things and, like, a couple shows that actually achieve something rather than just like, hey, let's just do all this kind of shit. I mean, granted, I don't mind exploratory kind of shit. Like, I heard potentially that, like, the Daredevil show will have like 18 episodes. I'm like, god damn. It's really, it's like, wow, that's kind of like the old days kind of stuff. I'm like, god damn, that'd be like 18 weeks waiting for that shit. It's like, yeah, that's what other shows were too. So we'll kind of see what goes on. And especially that one is going to be an interesting case scenario to see how it kind of fits within Daredevil from the Netflix stuff, and if it's better or worse than the Netflix stuff as well. Because if they're able to set on street level and are able to execute street level well enough, it could be like they did street level enough with Hawkeye. They were able to at least peg it to a good degree where it didn't seem like Hawkeye was out of his depth completely and been like, hey, there's a god kind of fucking shit up. I got an arrow for that, maybe? Just make his ass just fucking shit itself? I don't know. So we'll see what kind of happens with Daredevil and all the rest. It's just okay. I understand trying to get everything kind of out there and kind of work your own kind of stuff, but sometimes you just need to kind of take a break and do enough time, because we don't need that much stuff and that much content. I'm just thinking of, like, how fast people need to work and what they need to do to get all that done and get that done well. I'm like, give them the time. The effects people, sweet good God, I do not envy them, and even if I'm like, the effects were up to par, I'm going to put it down to more of the timetable, because 2023 is like fuck all cracked out madness. Like shit on a shingle with a fucking... Okay, come on, clicky clicky. Okay, evidently you want to tell me to go fuck myself, but okay. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's a 12th one there. Like, 2023 is loaded, and then that starts going into fucking 2024, and then leading into, like, it's nuts. like, there has to be a balance. I would be kind of like, I'd be like, alright, 30 years for a movie, that's a long time. Though, granted, we've reached, like, a third of that for certain video games. It's like, what? But, however, I don't need you to do so many movies at once and so many shows that, like, the VX people are like, we can't handle it, Captain. We don't have the resources. We don't have the time. We don't have it to, like, actually look good. You know what I mean? Balance it. Understand what your teams can and can't achieve. Figure out a good base standard quality and deliver it. Because Marvel, when it hits well and hits good, that's on point, man. You get some good shit there. And then you got other ones that's like, it could have been done better, man. Yeah. So, I just wanted to kind of do this update because it's like, sweet good God, we got more of a roadmap of what's going on for Marvel because we didn't even know how long Phase 4 was going to last. And evidently it's like, shit, it's about going to end at pretty much the end of the year with Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It's like, alright, that was sooner than I thought. And then we get everything with Phase 5. It's like, alright, so evidently our Avengers movie is the Thunderbolts movie, which is going to be more of a kind of like street level villains, I believe, from what I've read on certain articles. So we'll see how that kind of works. Now, since I'm into Marvel and everything like that, we'll have to see how that kind of works out, depending upon what the whole story is, if it's kind of like a redemption thing, or if it's the villains doing villainy things, and I'm like, okay, I don't mind seeing different stories from different kind of points of view, but it's like, alright, I kind of want to see the other kind of characters and what they kind of do. Like, we'll see how that one kind of works out. It's like really weird that we've got to wait so long for another Avengers movie when they're pretty much being like, hey, these Avengers are going to be like capstone ones almost. And I'm like, honestly, we should have something to have this after the Infinity Saga to have some kind of response team. I mean, granted, their story could be that we don't have one, and that's why the Thunderbolts pop off. It's like, hey, we got a response team. They're like the Avengers, but they're assholes. Wait a minute, I thought some of the Avengers were assholes. Yeah, but these are all assholes. Big, gaping, motherfucking ones. We'll kind of see. Like, granted, if you went with certain kind of Thunderbolt ones, if you went like Norman Osborn shit, with like the Dark Avengers, whoo-wee, man, yeah. Yeah. Leading that siege and shit like that. So, we will have to see how this goes. Yeah. So, those are my opinions on the update that we got from the MCU phases. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you like this schedule, if you don't like this schedule, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me with kind of what's going on. And, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.